Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be coloring the girl in the forest, and I'm going to be using watercolors for my base. So I'm going to be using light green, dark green, a terracotta color, and a yellow mixed with orange to make that yellow orangey watercolor. And I'm going to be using my Winsor & Newton Cotman line watercolors. And I'm just going to show you guys a little bit of the process, how I lay down my watercolors, so I could go on later with color pencils and do light shading. I would recommend this video for beginners, especially if you're not really into shading or you're not that good at shading. I would definitely follow this video step by step, because after 1:16, if you guys want to go ahead and skip this part, you could go ahead and do that, because I'll be talking through the whole entire video of what I'm doing step by step and why I'm doing each step. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and for more videos like this, subscribe, share, and like. Thank you. Bye. Okay, so now that I laid down my base color with watercolor, I'm just gonna do some light shading on the leaves. Nothing fancy, since I kind of don't want to go a little bit too crazy on the shading and everything, since I already laid down my watercolor base and I still want that to pop through. And so the colors that I'm going to be using, I'm going to be using some Holbeins and some Derwent color drawings and some luminous, probably just one luminous, and 2 Blick color pencils. Let's get started. So this is how I go ahead and color. So I'm gonna grab Tiger Lily, and I'm just gonna go ahead and lay it down, and I'm just going softly, just gently, soft pressure, not a lot. And then I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing on this side, and slightly bring it upward. Just like that. Maybe someone over here. So after I've done that, I'm gonna go ahead and grab my Derwent drawing. This one is Olive Earth. And this, I'm just gonna concentrate it more at the end of the leaf. And like I said, softly, soft pressure. I'm not doing very harsh shading. And then maybe some right here. Mostly right here. I'll concentrate right here. So now I'm just gonna add slight pressure to it. Just slight. And this, even though I was doing slight pressure, I was doing like a very low pressure to light to medium pressure. Now what I'm gonna do is go ahead and add Sanguine on top of that orange to make it a little bit darker. And I'm still doing a very light pressure. Like I said, I'm not doing a whole lot of shading for the reason, or harsh shading, because I sometimes just want to color calmly and not overdo it. So now I'm gonna go ahead and add yellow. So I'm gonna go ahead and add some yellow here. And maybe some here. Mix that yellow in there, and then some yellow towards the end. And this is a luminous. This one is lemon yellow. Now I'm gonna go ahead and add yellow ochre and kind of blend it all together. And I'm still not adding a lot of pressure to my color pencil. I'm doing a light to medium pressure, and I'm adding that yellow ochre on top of that brown, the orange, and everything that I had already laid down. But I'm still leaving some of that green of that watercolor.
Okay, so now that I've done that, I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit more extra depth, and I'm gonna go ahead and go in with raw umber, and this I'm just gonna add it at the end of that leaf, just like that. Now, if you want to go ahead and add a little bit of pop of color, you could go ahead and use Carmine Red from Blick Studios. And I think I'm gonna add some right here and some right here, not a lot, and then some probably right here to kind of give it a little bit of depth to the orange that we had laid down. And there we go. That's how I colored that leaf. So now I'm gonna go ahead and do all of them. Okay, for now for the mushroom, I'm gonna go ahead and lightly shade it with warm earth, just on the outer edges, just like that. Because I already did my shading with watercolor, so there was no need to, there's no need to technically do a lot of harsh shading. And I'm just going softly, light pressure, and adding that warmth earth in the areas that I basically added that shadow. And I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing on this part right here. I'm not gonna do a lot of dark shading on it, but I think I might just add chocolate. And I'm using Derwent Drawing. I just got these pencils probably a couple of days ago, and I really do like them. The only thing is that they're very soft, so they crumble easily because how soft they are, but the core is pretty thick. And I wish they could do a wider range of this colored pencil brand. Not brand, but the line of this drawings. So there we go. We're just adding a little bit of chocolate. And we're just gonna add some here. So there we go. And then some right here. Maybe some right here. I'm doing it very sporadically. I don't necessarily know where I'm gonna put them at. I did forget to tell you guys, like once I was done laying all the colors down, I did went in with my colorless blender, and that's what I'm gonna do. Oh, I forgot to do one more thing. I'm gonna go ahead and add some lines like that, just like that, to kind of add like texture to the drawing. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean my colorless blender. And there we go. And I'm just gonna blend wherever I laid down the colors. Just like that. I'm not gonna blend those colors out, the ones that I did the lines. Just like that. And as you can tell, it added that depth that we wanted in those colors. Now I'm gonna do the same thing to this part. And just add some lines for the texture. And then do some lines for some texture. I'm gonna go in with that chocolate and add it in there. And I'm doing very light pressure. And there we go. Now I'm gonna go back in with the colorless blender and start blending those edges. Just like that. Now, you don't have to necessarily use a colorless blender. You could go in with and use any kind of solvent like mineral spirits just to blend those colors out if you don't have colorless blender. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and add more shadings to the mushroom. So I'm gonna go ahead and add some lines. Just like that. There we go. I'm gonna add some shadow on this part right here. And I'm trying to go for this color for my mushroom. I'm gonna show you guys my, and then just lightly do some lines like that. Okay, we're adding that dark chocolate, not dark chocolate, but chocolate bottom. Just like that. So now that I've done that, this is the chocolate, or not the chocolate, but the mushroom that I'm trying to color, a brownish, this one right here. So we're gonna go slightly blend that with the colorless blender. Like I said, I'm not gonna go in and do it and make it look like very realistic. I'm doing a semi-realistic coloring. There we go. Now I'm gonna go in with maybe yellow ochre, like that. And I'm gonna use that for the outer edges, just like that. And maybe some right here. And we're gonna blend that, just like that. There we go. And that's how I'm gonna leave my mushroom, and that's how I'm gonna do my mushrooms right here. Okay, so I went ahead and decided to basically lay down my groundwork, which is the watercolor, and this is the color palette that I'm gonna go for. And then I'm just gonna go with color pencils on top of it. Now I'm gonna show you guys how I basically colored or did the watercolor on this little, I don't even know what this is, and this little thing, I don't even know what that is. I know it's some kind of flower plant or something. So I'm gonna go ahead and use my Holbein's, my custom made Holbein watercolor palette, and I already have the pre-made colors that I'm gonna use. So for this part right here, I'm gonna color it green. Gotta make sure my water brush is semi-wet. I don't want the whole entire paper to be soaking wet, so I make sure that I always clean off my brush for excess of water. So I'm gonna re-wet my paint, and I'm gonna go ahead and fill that in with that light green. You don't have to necessarily have whole wines. You could use whatever watercolors that you have. Just make sure you water down that green and just like semi-clear like that. So after that, I'm gonna go ahead and let that dry just a tad bit. And I'll probably end up going with a little bit dark without watering it down too much. So I'm gonna go ahead and focus this on the outer edges just like that. So I'm wiping down my brush and semi-blending those edges so we don't have no harsh edges. Okay, so now it's a little bit greener. Sorry if I moved the camera, but I need this phone for reference on how I'm gonna do this right here. So now that it's semi dry, I'm gonna go ahead and add just a tad bit more green on those edges, just like that. And make sure I clean the brush, just like that. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and add or mix together green and orange, and it created like this green brown. So now I'm gonna go ahead and add that in the same place where I lay down that green for my shadows, just like that. I'm trying to remember exactly how I colored it because I did that yesterday and I forgot to write down exactly the order on how I went in. So I'm gonna let that completely dry, because when you let it dry and you lay down more colors, it becomes a little bit darker wherever you're adding that watercolor to begin with. So now I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing right here and color her dress. I'll do this after. So I'm gonna let that dry so I could continue adding more color on top of that. So I'm gonna use this like burgundy color. So this, it might be even lighter. I apologize if you guys hear a lot of noise in the background. I try to do videos when there's not a lot of noise, but today was impossible, and I want to get this video out as soon as possible because I always try to upload at least one video a week, once a week, and it's too light, so I still have to use a little bit more ink. So I'm gonna go ahead and let that dry and just wait and add more after, just like that. And I decided I think I'm gonna go ahead and add some patterns to the burgundy dress, and then I'm gonna go ahead and add like a brown. So here we go. Oh, that's too much. You want to make sure you don't add a whole bunch of pigment, because we want it to be the same all about. We want it to look exactly the same like the rest of the coloring. So I'm gonna go ahead and lay down the brown right here. And I believe this video is right up the alley for beginners. If you don't have markers, you could definitely use watercolors. But just having control on how much water you lay down on the paper. So here we go, adding this on this side. Make sure you wipe that a little bit since I don't want it to be super dark compared to the other part of the dress. So now I'm gonna go ahead and add one more time because I feel like it was too light. And I feel like I'm adding too much water, so I'm gonna let that dry. So we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing right here. I mean, whenever you do use watercolor, make sure you guys do a lot of pre-mix of that same color you're gonna use throughout your coloring page, or else if you run out of the color that you had already pre-mixed, the next time you pre-mix it again, it might not come out the same because watercolor reacts differently. It's always different whenever you pre-mixing colors. It doesn't always come out the same. They're unique. So I'm making sure, using that last leftover pre-mix I have, and making sure I use it. Even though I needed some for her shoes. I think I have enough. Alrighty. So I'm gonna use the same color that I used for her little brown dress. And I'm gonna use it for her shoes. Yes, for her shoes. And that is too dark. Okay. Make sure the paint does not dry on the paper, because then you're not going to be able to move it around. And then you're going to get some harsh edges and lines. So just be careful. Okay. So to make it a little bit darker towards the end, I'm gonna go ahead and add the same burgundy color that I added over here on her shoes to add that little shadow. So I'm gonna go ahead and add it right here and add some in here inside the little shoe part. I don't know how well you guys could see that on the video. Sometimes I wish I had like a 4K video camera, and so you guys can see every detail, but I unfortunately don't have that, and so I gotta do with what I have and add some in the inner part of her shoe. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and add, if I could remember exactly, her hair. I'm mixing, I think it's W156, which I think is paint gray. I'm not sure. So there we go. Make sure you don't leave those lines like I left them right here. Hopefully it doesn't become very visible. Make sure you, and then semi wipe it down like that with your paper, your towel paper, so it is not too dark, because we do want to go on top of that with colored pencils and just add semi hair strokes. So I'm gonna go ahead and use the same paint on this side. Okay, I think that's good. I think I still need to add some brown to her shoe on this part right here. A little bit more. Now with watercolors, you could go light and then go in with color pencils and add your shading like that. And I like using this method a lot because I then know what colors I'm going for than overthinking it, like I usually do. So just adding semi a little bit everywhere. I don't miss any spot. And maybe I'm just gonna water it down just a tad bit and use the same brown that I used for her front of her shoes and add it right here on the side, just the same way that I added that burgundy to add that shadow. You don't need a lot of water. Again, you don't need a lot of water to add it on the paper. Because if you add a lot of water on non-watercolor paper, it will start buckling really, really bad, depending on the water weight. I mean, not the water weight, the paper weight on what you're coloring on. Okay, so now that I'm done with that, I'm gonna go ahead and let it dry. I'm gonna go ahead and keep adding more shadow to that. So I'm using that same dark green and I'm gonna add it again right here. As you could tell, it's getting a little bit more darker, the shadows. And that's what we're going for and looking for. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and add just a tad bit of brown. Now they don't have to be the same, it could be different. It will give it more of a natural look, I would say. So as you can see, I don't know if you guys can see that, my brush is completely semi-dry because of the bristles of the brush is kind of spread out. So that's what you want whenever you're doing this type of method of watercolor. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and add some tad yellow that I had already mixed with a little bit of orange and add that on the center, just like that. So it could give me that golden, kind of like if you're going for that olivey look. Olivey, I don't even think that's a word, but there we go. So now I'm gonna go ahead and leave that as is, and I'm just gonna go with color pencils on top. Now I'm gonna go ahead and focus right here with this, or this little one right here, which is this image, as I'm gonna use this as reference. So from the looks of it, there's some yellow and some reds. So I already kind of pre-mixed those colors on this side. So I'm gonna go ahead and add some yellow, not a lot. I'm gonna make sure I water it down. And let's see if I could add some on this side. And that is still a little bit too yellow. So I'm gonna make sure I water it down completely. And I still want to leave some white parts for my highlights. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep adding some yellow on this side, just like that, and some here, leaving those white areas. Okay, so now that I've done that, seems like we need a little bit of orange, maybe some, mix it together with this color right here, a little bit of orange, and I think this is like a little terracotta color, and I'm gonna go ahead and add it right about here, and to give it more of a dimension. I don't know how it will come out, but we'll try. And we want to make sure we clean our brush so we don't have no harsh edges, just like that. And after that, we're going to go ahead and use that same color and add it up here, and add the same color right here, and some right here. And add some right here on this side. Okay, so now I think I'm gonna go ahead and mix a little bit of red and orange, which I had already pre-mixed right here, and I'm gonna start working that in right there, and make sure I clean my brush and clear those edges out like that. And now I'm gonna go ahead and do the same to this part right here. Just like that. We wanna give it a 3D look in a way with watercolors. Now you could skip all this part and just add yellow for your watercolors, and then you could go ahead and add the oranges and the reds with not watercolor, but color pencils. With watercolor. You could add it with color pencils. And then add that same orange back up here. Now I'm not an expert. I'm just going by what my eyes see on my phone. So now that I've done that, I'm gonna go ahead and mix some of that terracotta color with that orange that I had already. And I'm gonna go ahead and do a line right here, and then downward like that, and clean my brush and semi blend that. Now we're gonna do the same thing to this part right here, like that. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and add that same color, grab some more orange and that terracotta color, and it'll give you the color that we're using. And we're gonna add that right here. Just like that. We're gonna go ahead and use more red orange and add it to this part right here. Some there. Make sure you blend your little edges. So now we're gonna go in with a true red and mix my little palette on this side. It seems like we need super red mixed with a little bit of orange. Make sure you clean your brush, because we don't want a whole bunch of pigment on your brush. So we're gonna grab a little bit of that red. We're gonna add the line just like that, and we're gonna go ahead and semi-blend that to edges. You don't want a whole bunch pigment there, and we're gonna grab some more pigment and add some to this part right here. Blend that just like that, and then after that we're gonna go ahead and add some more red on this part right here. Some more red here. And maybe some just like that. Whenever the paper's too wet, the the watercolor will start spreading a lot more. So that's when you know you need to stop. You need to stop adding watercolors to it, especially if it's not watercolor paper. So we're gonna add more red over here. Mix some orange with that, and then add some terracotta. Like that. Okay, so we're gonna leave that as is and then let that completely dry. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and add some patterns to my dresses. And I'm gonna go ahead I'm not sure what kind of patterns I want to make. I'm just gonna make some lines then. Since I'm not sure, I'm gonna add some lines for the pattern of the dress. Like that. And I don't know if you could tell from afar, but you could start seeing where I added those lines, it has become darker. So I'm gonna do the same thing here. Do my little lines. Now your lines don't have to be super straight because we want it to have like some close waves, I would say. Okay, so we added that pattern up here, and I think I'm gonna leave this pattern right here alone, or maybe not. I think I'll leave it as is because I want to add some shadows to the bottom part of the skirt. So now that I've done that, I'm gonna go ahead and add some of that light green and mix that orange together, and it'll give me like yellow green color, just to add some more shadows here. Just like that. And it really doesn't matter to me if I'm harsh on the lines right here. And we're gonna add some more lines this way. And then some here. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and mix that brown with a little bit of green. And like that, we're gonna do that. We adding that like little 3D effect. Okay, so I'm gonna leave that as is and gonna proceed to do the rest with color pencils. So I'm done with that for the moment. When I thought I was recording, I guess it was not recording when I filled in the little olives, this little tomato, and then the little fruits, right? I mean, not fruits, but little flowers. I guess it didn't record that part. I apologize for that. I will show you how I'm gonna go in and color her dress, her hair, her skin, and the little acorns and her head right here, and the little mushrooms. I still don't know how I'm gonna color the mushrooms, so that's why I'm leaving that at last. So let's begin with shading the dress. So I'm gonna go ahead and add, I'm gonna use Crayola and I'm gonna use maroon. And I'm gonna go ahead and just gonna go ahead and add that right here. Since she's bending over, I realized that the shadow is gonna be underneath her. I'm not much of a shader. I try my best, so I might be doing it wrong. So if you know how, by all means do your own shading the way you want to do the shading. But if you're a beginner and you like how I shade, then go ahead and use the method that I'm using. So there we go. And then probably add some on this side. And then some right here. And some right here. Even though I added some patterns here, I'm still gonna add some like little foldings of the dress. So now that I'm done with that, I'm gonna go in with maroon. Actually, sorry, I apologize. Yes, the first one that I was using was maroon, and this is Cocoa. It's Crayola brand. And this is just gonna add more depth into the shading that I already had added. And just add some right here. Just like that. I'm just going slightly over top where I added that maroon. And add some shadow there. Okay, and I forgot to add shadow to the little sleeve part right here. Like I said, we're only doing light shading since we already laid down our colors for or how we want it. Oops, I did the wrong shading on the wrong part, but it's all right. And then we're gonna go ahead, and I forgot to add maroon to the shoe part right here. Right here. Right here, and where we added that burgundy color to the boots, that's where we adding those shadows to pop more. And I'm going in with a very light to medium pressure. Maybe one day I'll do a video of what I mean light pressure, very light pressure to medium pressure to hard pressure to medium pressure, showing you guys what I mean by that. Because sometimes whenever I see videos and people are coloring, I don't know like how hard they're coloring, how hard they're laying down their pigment. And sometimes I wish I knew, but it's just me. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and add that cocoa where I added the maroon. Right here. And some to the shoe part right here. I'm gonna go ahead and sharpen my pencil because I feel Crayola works better when you have a finer point and instead of like a blunt point, because I feel like it doesn't lay down the pigment how I want it to. So hopefully there's still a lot of light on my video. So there we go. Still doing a light to medium pressure. Actually still very light pressure. And the inner part of the boot. There we go. I'm liking the way it's turning out. Now to add a slight more depth to it, we're gonna go in with, if I remember, terracotta. And I'm gonna sharpen that. This color pencils, like I said before, they're very soft, so they tend to crumble. But I really, really love the way they blend with the colorless blender. So I'm just gonna add some right here. Right here, you see that? How it's just adding more depth to that color that we had laid down. And I'm adding just a light to medium pressure, not too hard because we don't want to crumble the point. Man, this video is gonna be super long. This is probably gonna be the longest video I have ever done in my entire video channel. So I'm trying something new on my videos, trying to talk through what I'm doing. I'm trying to get out of my comfort zone. Okay, so I've done that. Now I'm gonna go ahead where we added those shadows. This is so easy. You're adding the slightest blending shading tips onto your coloring page. Okay, So now I'm gonna go in with sepia red from Derwent Drawing. And we're gonna add some shadows here. I think I added, yeah, actually, yeah, I'm gonna go in with that. Oh yeah. So I was supposed to go in with warm earth first and then sepia. And I'm just adding those colors right here. Now I'm gonna go in with sepia on top of that color that I laid down already on warm earth. Okay, colorless blender and start somewhat blending those colors out. And when I'm using my colorless blender, I have a light to medium pressure, because just in case I want to go ahead and add more colors on top. And if I do a hard pressure with the colorless blender, whenever I do go on top of colors, it's just not gonna, the colors are not gonna stick onto the coloring page. I don't know if you guys know what I mean, but it's just not gonna work. I mean, it might work, but it's just gonna look very patchy and grainy, and that's not the effect that I'm going for. So that's why I'm going very light to medium pressure, not too hard. There we go. And okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and blend the shoe part. Okay, so now for the dress part, I'm gonna go in with terracotta, I guess. That's what my little list says. I'm going in with a very light pressure. And I'm adding the shadow parts where I feel like the fold is for the dress. Okay. Maybe some right here. Some right here. It's very random where I'm adding that terracotta color. There's not really a wrong and right way to do it. I mean, there might be if you're a professional and you're saying, oh, that's not how you do it, but it's okay. It's your coloring page and you could do whatever you want with it. So now I'm gonna go in with Blick Studio Color Pencil, and I'm gonna go in with Raw Umber. And I'm gonna go on top of that. Okay, so now I'm gonna go in with Raw Umber for Blick Studio and go on top of that same, what was it? Terracotta of the lines of the dress. Just like that. And we're doing a very light pressure. Just like that. And it does slightly change the color that we had laid down in the first place. There we go. There we go. We're going very light pressure. We kind of want it to slightly overlap that terracotta color that we laid down first, because I feel like this color matches a lot the watercolor that we laid down first. So it makes it seem more blended in a way. Okay, so now that we've done that, we're gonna go ahead and add green ochre. Okay, so here we go. And it's a luminous. I hardly ever use my luminous because I feel like some of them are very scratchy. I don't know if it's just me, but we're just gonna add this sparingly, like randomly. We're not gonna add it all over where we laid down those shadows. Just lightly. Just like that. Just like that. Okay. So we're done with that. And now we're just gonna go ahead and use my colorless blender. And you just wanna make sure that there's no different colors that you don't want on your blending. So I'm just gonna go ahead and clean that off. There we go. We're just blending it. And like I said, I'm using it as a very light pressure, just in case I decide to want to go back in and add more color, because I realized that when you step away from what you're coloring and you come back later on, you realize, oh, it needs some more color right there. So if you're ever stuck in one place of your coloring, the best advice is to walk away from your coloring and then come back, you know, take a break and then come back, and then see, you start seeing your coloring in a different eye look, not eye look, but in a different way, saying, oh, I might need some more there. Like I feel like I need more right here. You see that? Just adding a little bit, it changes a lot the outcome of your coloring. There we go. So we're just gonna go ahead and add more over here. I'm going in with cocoa. There we go. Now I am very happy and with how it looks. Okay, so now that we're done with that, I am gonna go ahead and start doing coloring the hat. So for the hat, I'm gonna go in with Warm Earth and start adding the color right here. Now I don't need to add a lot of pressure because, as I said before, these are very pigmented and they're very soft and buttery, just too crumbly. Maybe add some here. Oops, I think it's okay. Okay. It's your coloring book. You can do whatever you want. So if you mess up, it's alright. As long as you had fun coloring it. The other color I used, it was terracotta, and now I'm gonna use sepia. I think I added the wrong color in there, but it's alright. And just slightly blend that together. And like I said, very slight pressure. Okay, so I feel like it needs a little bit more color, more depth. So I'm gonna go ahead again with chocolate. Okay, so I'm happy how my little hat looks. You could add more shading, but I'm happy how it looks. So now we're gonna go in with doing the skin. And for the skin, I think I'm gonna use watercolor. I'm gonna use right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and add that. So your skin is gonna be very yellow undertone. But it's okay, we're gonna add some color to that, so we're gonna let that completely dry. Add the same color. The little acorns, I'm gonna go with the same color that I used for her dress, but I'm gonna really water it down. Just like that. So I think I'm gonna hit another right here. The skin is already semi-dry. Shading. So I'm using brown ochre. So we're gonna just add it on the sides of the leg. Like I said, I'm not gonna do a lot of shading depth into it because I feel like I wanted to dedicate this video more for beginners. Something a beginner could do easily. Okay, so now that I added that around the corners of her face, I think I'm gonna go in with Mars Violet to add some semi shadow. I sharpen my color pencil because the tip comes very thick and blunt and we want a little sharp point. Okay, there we go. So we're adding that Mars, was it Mars Violet? Yes. Mars Violet, it changes the color. And it does deepen up the colors that we laid out. There we go. So we're gonna add the same Mars color around the edges of where we added that brown ochre. Add some little eyebrow on her. She had no eyebrows. There we go. Some more. Okay, so now after that, I think I'm gonna go in with light sienna, and you see how the point looks, so that's why I need to sharpen it. So there we go. I'm going on top of where I added those shadows. Just going the same way that I told you guys. Whenever you do lay down your color, sometimes it does look a little bit grainy, but that's why the colorless blender helps, so it won't really look grainy. It will minimize it. Okay, we're gonna leave it as is, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and add some pink just to her face right here because I feel like her skin needs a little bit of pink color to her cheeks. I use Crayola, and I'm gonna use, which is Razzle Dazzle Rose, to her little cheeks. Hold on, let me sharpen that up. Okay, so it's giving her more colors to her skin, so I'm gonna add some pink here. I realize whenever I'm doing like these little miniature girls, I always try to go for more of like a cute little skin tone, not too realistic. Okay, so I think we're done with that. I use dark brown. And we're just doing flickering motions. Like I said, we're not going to do a lot of dramatic hair strokes. It's just to give her a slight texture to the hair instead of it making it look a little bit too flat. By adding a slight texture to the hair, it helps it bring to life. It adds more character to the hair and to the drawing. I'm just following the direction of her hair. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to do the top hair right here. Okay, warm earth. I'm gonna sharpen that a bit. I think this video is gonna be half me sharpening my color pencils. Okay, so, oops. Like I said, I added too much pressure, and these colored pencils are very soft. Okay. We're gonna add some texture to the acorn. Okay. So now that we've done that, we're gonna go ahead and add sepia. And we're gonna go around that acorn and do the same thing to this side of the acorn. And we're gonna add some lines for those textures. And there we go. We're gonna go in with chocolate to add more depth to that. Keep that around like that, and do the same thing here, and do some lines for textures. This little acorn looks like a fluffy acorn, like it has too much little hairs. Okay, so after that we're gonna go in with canary yellow. Okay, so now that we've done that, we're gonna go in with raw umber. And we're doing light pressure. Let's start adding more pressure here in the ends. Okay, and I think we're gonna add more sepia. Okay, we're gonna. Okay, I think I'm gonna go ahead and add some mustard from Whole Vines. Just slightly add some pressure to it. We're gonna go in again with our colorless blender. And blend that. So now we're gonna blend the top of the acorn to give it more a seamless blending look. And we're gonna blend this part here. I'm not gonna blend the little hair texture because we wanna have those there. There we go. So I think I'm happy how my little acorns look like. And the little bows right here, I don't know what colors to color those. So we're gonna go ahead and color the little grapes and add some cocoa. And add those on the bottom of those purple cherries so it could have some shadows. Shadows. Okay, so I'm just gonna use the same color pencil for all the little grapes because that's the shadow that I'm going for to make them deeper, the depth of those colors. And then I'm gonna go in with sepia. And I'm just adding those colors on the bottom of the little grapes. Okay. Now I'm gonna go ahead and use my colorless blender and mix those together. Okay, I'm happy the way those look like. Now I'm gonna go ahead and color this and I'll be back. So here's the finished look. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you like, subscribe, and share for more videos like this. Bye.